All right, we're going to hit everybody's sign right about here. We're going to start off with what they say is the hottest sign in the galaxy. And if it happens to be yours, Sagittarius. What about Capricorn? What about Gemini? What about Leo? What about Virgo? And Aquarius. Hey, what about Taurus? What about Aries? Hey, Pisces, you fish. Well, son, I know it's alright. Hey, well, let's talk about Scorpio. Hey. What about Cancer? Let's talk about Right about here, we're going to tell you exactly what the whisper signs happen to be. It's going to go a little something like this. Bring it on!
Hi, this is Z Starman, host of Astrology Numerology Now, and I'm here to talk about the upcoming Mercury retrograde. Yes, it's the first Mercury retrograde of 2014 that will begin on February 6th and last or go direct on February 28th, 2014. Now, it's enough that we're just coming off of Venus retrograde that ended on January 31st. We have a Mercury retrograde to deal with. What is a Mercury retrograde? Those of you who watch the show know what it is. But if you're just tuning in or watching this for the first time, a Mercury retrograde simply is an optical illusion. What is that optical illusion? As we look at the planet Mercury against the backdrop of the stars, and the difference between a star and a planet is stars twinkle, hence the song Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and planets don't. Planets are luminaries. They reflect the light of the sun. That's how we can see the moon. It doesn't twinkle, it's reflecting the light of the sun. When we're looking at any planet and it's not twinkling, or any heavenly body, it's not twinkling, then it is a planet. Planets are luminaries, they reflect light. Now, in a Mercury retrograde, as we look at the planet Mercury against the backdrop of the stars, it appears like it's moving backwards. See, the key word here, it appears to be moving backwards. Example of what a Mercury retrograde is like. For most New Yorkers, if you're riding, or people who live in towns where they have subways or trains, if you're in the faster moving train that passes the slower moving train, you get the optical illusion that the slower moving train is moving backwards. You ever see that? Get that optical illusion? Or let's say if you don't live in a city with a subway or system or trains. Let's say if you're driving in your car and you're in the faster moving car that passes the slower moving cars. Sometimes if you're in the passenger side, or even if you're driving, when you're in the faster moving cars, the slower moving cars give off the optical illusion that they're moving backwards. Actually, it's not moving backwards, it's just an optical illusion. The same thing is with a planetary retrograde. It appears to be moving backwards. So all things that happen, regardless of any retrograde, it's about an optical illusion. It's about a planet that's readjusting itself. Planets don't slow down. Planets do not stop in their tracks and all of a sudden start to begin orbiting backwards. It's the speed of how the planet Earth is moving in relationship to any heavenly body or any heavenly planet, and then moving backwards. Now, let's get to the crust of what a Mercury retrograde is all about. This retrograde is going to be in the sign of Pisces. It's going to begin in the sign of Pisces, and it's going to last, or it's going to retrograde all the way back into the sign of Aquarius. Now, some of the do's and don'ts excuse me, of a Mercury retrograde is we don't start anything new, we don't begin anything new, we don't sign any new contracts. Again, a Mercury retrograde is a cosmic timeout. And again, this Mercury retrograde is occurring in the sign of Pisces, and it's going to go back midway into the sign of Aquarius. And that's from February 6th to January 28th. The do's and don'ts: check your computers, back up your computer files, watch your telephones. Don't sign on the dotted line on any deals unless you really have to on a Mercury retrograde. It's a period of readjustment. And again, Mercury retrograde is going to begin in the sign of Pisces on February 6th to February 28th, 2014. It's going to go back into Aquarius, and it's going to come out of Aquarius, then go back into Pisces. Now, I'm going to share with you what I feel, how the Mercury retrograde is going to affect each and every one of the 12 signs of the zodiac. So we're going to begin where the Mercury is beginning at, and that's going to be in the sign of Pisces. Pisces people, this Mercury retrograde is going to ask you to take a deep look at yourself and ask who you are from a professional point of view, from a personal point of view. Start to trust your intuition. Pisces people, go near the water. Stay near the water to get some spiritual understanding. Now, for you in Aquarius, if you're in Aquarius watching this show or this video, it's going to affect your money because the retrograde is in your solar second house, or if you have Aquarius rising sign in your chart, this is going to be in your solar second house. So it's going to have to be some periods of readjustment when it comes to your finances. Maybe you think you'll have some money in the bank, or you're thinking you're getting a job, and it may not be for real or real at all, because once again, Mercury retrograde is an illusion. Now, for the Capricorns, or people with Capricorn rising in your astrology chart, this Mercury retrograde is going to be in your solar or natal third house. And the third house is about brothers, sisters, short journeys. Be careful on those short journeys. Be careful on those little junkets that you may take. Get in touch with a family member, brother, sister, because that's what the third house rules. It rules brothers and sisters. And a lot of you out there may decide that you want to go back to school to get a little bit more education. And this is something that you should plan during that Mercury retrograde. Now for Sagittarius. Sagittarius, the Mercury retrograde that's lasting, or if you have Sagittarius rising in your astrology chart, the Mercury retrograde is going to be in your natal or solar fourth house. And this is a time where you have to go back and see family members. Call your mother. A lot of you are out of touch with your mother and other family members. Also, it may be a good time to decide whether you should sign off on that real estate deal. But the fourth house represents the soul and represents things at the end of life. So if you're a Sagittarius out there, or you have Sagittarius rising, you may want to pay close attention to these things during a Mercury retrograde. Now for you Scorpios out there who are watching, those with Scorpio rising sign or Scorpio sun sign, this retrograde is going to be in your fifth house. The fifth house rules creativity. The fifth house rules children. The fifth house rules love affairs. So it's time to go back, take an assessment of what your love life is about, what your children are about. Try your luck in speculation. And if you're coming out of retirement, let's say you used to sing, but you haven't sung or done a performing arts thing in a while, dust off that instrument or dust off that script and polish it up and get back into the game. This Mercury retrograde, once again, is going to be in your fifth house. And also expect some old lovers to come back into your life that you haven't seen in a while. Now for you Libras out there. Now I know Libra, it's been a rough start to 2014. You're just coming off the Venus retrograde that we had for the last 6 weeks. And this is for those with Libra rising or solar Libras, or your sun sign is Libra. And this retrograde is going to affect you in your 6th house. This is the house of health. Get those checkups. This is the house of work. Be careful how you relate to subordinates at work. There could be a lot of drama for you Libra people, especially coming off of this Venus retrograde. But check your health, check your work surroundings, and also pay close attention to details in your life. This is in your solar 6th house. Also, the 6th house is about service and helping other people out. So go back and give a hand to people who may be in need, who may need your hand during this cosmic timeout, with Mercury retrograde being in Libra's solar 6th house, or if you have Libra rising. Now, if you're a Virgo, or if you have Virgo rising, this will affect your, or this retrograde will be in your 7th house. The 7th house is a part of, is about relationships. It's about open enemies also. So for a while, and it also rules lawsuits. If you got any court cases or active court cases, Virgo, or if you want to take somebody to court, now's the time to get those papers in motion. With the 7th house, if you're married, if you're Virgo who's married, your relationship with your significant other will probably be tested. And also, open enemies. That's what the 7th house rules. It rules open enemies, people who hate on you. And during this period, you'll really know who is your friend and who is your enemy. Now, for you Leos out there, or if you have Leo rising in your astrology chart, Leos and Leo rising, this retrograde will be in your solar or natal 8th house. In the 8th house, it's about other people's money. It's about death. It's about taxes. It's about soul surging. A lot of you may have estates or inheritances that you have to investigate and get in charge of. And also, a lot of you will, unfortunately, as we all have to in this world, deal with funerals, deal with death, and sometimes not the physical death, but the death of a habit or a lifestyle. These are some of the things that people with Scorpio rising or Scorpios in general from a solar angle will have to deal with. Up next, we're going to talk about Cancer. How does this affect Cancers and those with Cancer ascendants in their astrology chart? Now, this represents the 9th house. This retrograde is going to be in your 9th house. And the 9th house is symbolic of higher mind, long distance travel. Some of you may have to take trips to faraway places, but it's a good time to really, if you really want to go back to college or higher information school. I know I said that about the 3rd house when it came to Capricorn, but this is the 9th house. The 9th house is the opposite of the 3rd house, and the 9th house represents higher mind, long distance journey. A lot of you out there will be joining religious groups and thinking about joining religious groups and higher spiritual orders during this time. And that's for people with Cancer rising or Cancer, their sun sign is Cancer. Now, for Gemini, this retrograde is going to be in your solar 10th house. If you're a Gemini, sun sign Gemini, or if you have Gemini rising, the Mercury retrograde is going to begin at the top of your chart in the sign of Pisces. And the 10th house represents public image, your career, and how you look to other people. A lot of Geminis out there, now is the time, more than any other time, to make career judgments. Now, I know my sun sign is Gemini, and I have Gemini rising, and I know there are a lot of network executives in radio and television. I'm going to be sending you my resume. I'm going to be sending you my videotape. It's a time for Gemini to really focus and concentrate on their careers more than anything. A lot of you Geminis or sun sign Gemini people, you're going to get fired. Simple as that. You're going to get fired because it's time, the universe is telling you it's time to make adjustments in your career. So that's what Gemini should be doing, and those with Gemini rising sign. Taurus, just like Libra, you're coming off of Venus retrograde. Venus rules Taurus and Libra, so we just got through with that Venus retrograde ending in January, and now, boom, here comes Mercury retrograde, and this Mercury retrograde is going to be if you're a Taurus or if you have Taurus rising sign in your astrology chart. It represents the 11th house, and the 11th house is the house of hopes, wishes, desires, friends. During this period, you're going to know who your real friends are. During this period, you're going to ask to make adjustments. I need this person as my friend. I need that person as my friend. Beware of things and backstabbing. A lot of backstabbing goes on when Mercury is retrograde in the solar 11th house. And also go after something that you've been wanting for a very long time, but you've been afraid to ask and investigate. And last but not least, this Mercury retrograde for Aries, or for those with Aries rising. A lot of secrets. The Mercury retrograde is starting in Aries, so, in Pisces. And so this is Aries. If you have Aries rising, or you're in Aries, you can look at it from a solar angle. This retrograde is beginning in your 12th house. A lot of Aries people doing this Mercury retrograde in the sign of Pisces, going into Aquarius, they're going to have to be by themselves. You're going to have to spend a lot of me time. You're going to have to spend a lot of alone time. A lot of you may be doing time in jail, hospitals, just getting away from it all. And the 12th house is the house of secrets. So if you got any people who are Aries, or if you have Aries rising, a lot of secrets that have been held from you in your lifetime is going to start to come to the fruition, especially when Mercury goes direct on February 28th. So Aries rising sign, get ready for all those secrets to come out. I'm your host, Z Starman. This has been your Mercury retrograde forecast for February 2006 to February 28, 2014. And remember, this Mercury retrograde, it's only an illusion. Keep your eyes open. Wishing you peace, love, luck in life. Namaste.